Hi everyone, it's Lene. Today I have a sweet little fall doily pumpkin to show you how to make. It's so cute and easy to do. Stick with me to the end of this video and I'm going to give you some scenting tips for this sweet little guy. So let's make a pumpkin. So my sweet little pumpkin here requires a couple of crocheted lace doilies. And this one is a 12-inch lace doily and this one's a 5. So let's take a look at these. This one is a little bit different. I wanted to show you one using sort of loose crochet loops and then tighter loops here. This one, as advertised, is 12 inches, but when I received it, it's 11 and a half. And I know this they can be a little inconsistent. That's okay because both will work. Really, any size doily would work for this. Then this one, which I used for just this little pumpkin leaf right here, this one is 5 inches wide, and we're just going to cut that in half and use half of it. But before that, I want to mention that I did dye these using coffee. And if future me remembers right now to add the little photo here of dyeing this with coffee. And what I mean by dyeing was I just took some coffee, just made it really strong. You could even use instant coffee. I put it in a Pyrex bowl, and then I added my doilies. And I actually dyed these and then the ones for the pumpkin that's already made. So for that, I just probably used 2.5 cups of coffee to dye 2 doilies like this and 2 like the larger ones. And then I let it sit there for, I don't know, half an hour, and then took them out of the coffee, rinsed them, and laid them flat on a paper towel to dry overnight. So because it's late summer, it wasn't any problem to dry that. If it's going to take a little bit longer, just change out those paper towels so they're not really damp. So what we're going to do first, let's go ahead first and cut this little doily before I forget. So we're just going to cut that one right down the center. And then you could save this one for another pumpkin. Okay, we're going to put that one right here. We're going to leave this one whole. However, there is some fabric backing right here. And there is some sewing required of this, but it is very, 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 very simple. And there's almost no skill, no previous sewing knowledge involved here. So what you're going to do is, this is just some fabric that I have that's a nice pumpkin color. It's a dark orange, it's a cinnamon color, it's a burnt orange. You could use any color orange, but you do want to use a solid fabric for this. If you use something that's a pattern, it kind of gets lost there with the doily. We really want that crochet to really show up. So the first thing is we want to cut this fabric about the same size as the doily. And you could do that by kind of lifting it up and everything, but what I found was I just used a plate. I just used a dinner plate that's the same size as the doily. I'm going to set that right there. And then I'm just going to take a pen or a pencil. I would normally use a pencil, but I want this to really show up here, so I'm going to use a ballpoint pen. And it's okay if we're sloppy because this is not going to show on our pumpkin. There we go. Now where to put my plate? All right, so now I am going to use some fabric scissors, but I happen to have fabric scissors. Use any kind of scissors that you think will cut fabric the best. All right, and you don't have to be very careful about this. Once again, this is just not going to show. All right, there we go. Now we're going to take the doily and place this down. Doesn't really matter which side. Doilies are generally reversible. And we're going to place our fabric right here. All right, well, we could just do it that way. Now I'm going to take a needle with some thread, just some white thread. You can see that against that. And I'm actually using quilting thread because it's a little heavier, but any white thread will do. And if it's normal sewing thread, you might want to double it. What I mean by double it is put it through your needle and then tie the ends together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that so that we have a nice length. And we want to have a length that's between 12 and 14 inches long once it's tied. There we go, like that. All right, and now we're going to just do a basting stitch. What I mean by basting stitch is nice big chunky stitches all the way around, okay? And I was going to do it face up, but you know what? I think if I turn it over, you'll see the stitches better. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so, and because these are going to be just so chunky, we're just going to do multiple at a time, just like that. All right, and you can leave a little tail there because we are going to be gathering this up at the end. Now when sewing this, you just want to make sure that you're connecting with that doily underneath. Go. And while we're just watching me sew, I might tell you that this would be a great time for you guys to subscribe. It would really help out my channel. We are looking for subscribers, and this is a new channel, so you could get in on the ground floor. And it would really help me if you would tell other people about it. Just hit that share link and just share this video with anybody that happens to like fall and pumpkins. I don't know if you know anybody like that, but they might enjoy this as well. And when I was putting together this craft, I really wanted it to be for people who just weren't familiar with sewing or might be a little intimidated by that. And that's why it's just very, very easy sewing. And I'm kind of gathering this up as we go because I'm running out of my thread, but that's okay because at the end, that's what we're doing is we're gathering this. That's what this whole thing is for. All right, we're almost done. All right. So now we're just holding on to the end that we started with, that we tied at the end, and then this one we're just going to pull them together, and it kind of looks like a little crocheted purse at this point, right? So cute. I'm just going to leave my needle on there. All right, now we're going to use some fiber fill. All right, you can buy this in the pack from places like Joann's, and I don't know, I think Michael's even has this now. And we're just going to kind of fluff it up a bit. You know what? Another good way to get fiber fill is just take an old pillow that you have. You know how pillows kind of get flattened and get kind of spent? Chop open an old pillow and you could make a dozen of these sweet little pumpkins. I'm just going to put that right in there. And we're going to stuff more in, but right now I'm just going to take both ends and I'm holding them together. And I'm just pulling that together. See, we're already getting our little shape. Okay. And then once we get to this point, I'm just going to kind of overstuff. So I would say at the end here, there's like a couple of good handfuls of fiber fill in there. All right. I think I've got some of the crochet stuff, the edge tucked down in here. Yes, I do. There we go. These scallops got kind of tucked under there. So we're just going to pull those scallops out so that they're at the top. And then this is a good time too to kind of move things around so this is a little more evenly dispersed. All right, now we can go ahead and we're going to do an overhand knot, just like that, just like tying your shoes. And we're going to do that. Oops. All right, and now we can just cut that. All right, so there we are so far. Now the next step is we're going to be making these little sections in our pumpkin using some twine. And I just bought this much larger ball of twine. This is what's left of it from another project. I bought this at the Dollar Tree. So let me find my needle. And for this, you want to use a really nice large needle with a very large eye, so that you can see that little eye, that's so you can thread this chunky twine through there. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to first start by going down through the center of the pumpkin, okay? So I've probably got way too much twine here. I'm going to cut some of this off. There we go. So you probably want to start off with about 20 inches of twine, just to make sure you have plenty, because you don't want to run out when you're doing this. So we're going to tie a knot in that. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go down through the center of the pumpkin, the fiber fill, and we're going to try to come out right through there. So just be careful with your needle, and we're going to go right out through there, okay? And we're going to pull this through. That first pull is kind of tricky because the twine is thicker than the fabric through that hole. All right, so we're going to pull this through. There we go. All right, now we're going to put it through again. Same hole. There we go. And then once you do that, you want to make sure it's kind of lined up and not, you don't want it to be crooked like over here. You want it to be lined up here and here. And then you're going to pull. See how you're getting that division there? First part of the section. Now I'm going to do the opposite side, okay, straight across the pumpkin. We're going to cut this in even sections. Oops, there we go. Okay. And before we cinch it tight, we just want to make sure that it's aligned well. Now we're going to pull that. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to go this way. So we're going to make quarters now. Oh, I've got some stuffing coming out there. Let's move that. All right. So now we're going to go this way. Okay. So there we are now. We've got this way, and I bet you can guess what we're going to do next. We're going to go through the center again. It's the hardest piece. You just got to kind of wiggle it around. Don't be deterred. You can do it. All right, there you go. All right, now I've got to get some slack here on my twine. There we go. I'm going to have kind of less of a tail now. All right, so now we have our quarters. So now we're going to go through each quarter. So think about this way. Your pumpkin is going to have 8 slices. There we go. No problems that time. All right, so we've got our pumpkin. You can really see it from the bottom, how it's divided. Now this one, I kind of want to move over a little bit. I think that was my problem stitch. There we go. You can always kind of manipulate a little bit. We're going to tuck, 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 pull, pull, pull. And now we're going to go back with the needle and just take a couple of those little fibers from the crocheted part, and we're going to pull our needle through. Maybe not. I think instead we'll take that top piece of twine and we're going to go under that, and then we're going to go make a loop, and we're just going through that to knot that. Except I didn't pull my twine up enough. There we go. So let's try that again. We're going to go around one of these, under one of these little pieces of twine, and we're just sort of tying off our twine here, making that loop, and then we're going to go in that loop and then tighten that. There we go. All right, thanks for sticking with me, you guys. We had a little troubleshooting to do there. All right, so now we've got our pumpkin. It's all sectioned. It's kind of smushed, so we're going to plump it up a little bit. There we go. Very nice. Now let's deal with that little half doily. Remember that little guy? Now this doily has a right side and a wrong side. The right side has these little flowers that are sticking up. Okay, so we're going to use those. Now I could go back and do a stitch on this and like do some of that, but I think what we're going to do is just gather it together and then some glue on that and just kind of gather it together. Just be careful not to get this stuff on your hands. I think I've told you guys before, I have another glue gun. I call it, Big Blue, and it's 20 years old, so it gets really hot. But it's also my favorite glue gun because it really does a great job. And these are low temp. Well, it says high temp on here, but believe me, compared to Big Blue, it's low temp. All right, we're going to glue that there, and that's going to be our little leaf, right? So cute, so cute. All right, the next thing we're going to do, I have to find it. I'm trying to find my little twig. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. I found it, but I needed to prep it a little bit. So this is just a twig from my backyard. It's about 3/8 of an inch wide. It's about 2 inches long. I have no idea what kind of tree. It could be birch. I'm not sure. But you could go out and go for a nature walk and find a twig, a hard, like oak, maple, anything would work. A pine, maybe not pine because it might have pitch. So hardwood would be better. Or here's tip number 1 about making nice scent. Your pumpkin already smells delicious. It smells like coffee because you've soaked the doily in coffee to tea stain that. So give it another layer of wonderful smell. You could replace this little stem, this little piece of wood, with a cinnamon stick, right? About the same, dimensions there. So yeah, absolutely. But what we're going to do is we're going to put some glue on that. And then we're going to just stick that right down in the center there. And you can even kind of twist it around. Twist, twist, twist. Just like that. And we're just going to hold it just for a second for it to really blend in there. Okay. Probably pretty good. All right. So now we get to add some of these fun little dried elements and these berries and things like that. So while this is kind of setting up a little bit more, I wanted to show you these are some little fall branches and twigs that I picked up at Joann Fabrics in their fall section. So I got this as what's considered a spray, and it's got these little sunflowers on it. It's got these little bead berries on it, which is the most important part, are these little berries. And I was looking for things that had tiny, small elements to them, okay? Which can be kind of tricky. You want to find, there's lots of big leaves, but hard to find smaller leaves like this. So, And particularly colors, we want light colors and we want dark colors for contrast. So here's our dark colors. This is kind of like a heather looking thing, and it's called a spray. These were all found in the picks aisle with all the little picks that they have. So very easy to find. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take our little picks and we're going to cut off one of these little sunflowers. Okay, and we're also going to cut some of these little berries, and I'm going to cut them kind of at different lengths like this. Some of them I'm going to cut really short, and some of them I'm going to leave kind of a longer stem on the top. And we're going to do something with that. And then we've got our little white ones here. And I noticed this particular berry on lots of different things. I saw that on garlands and on other picks, so you should be able to find these just about anywhere. Pretty popular. All right, and then I like kind of taking stuff from the bottom of my pick. That way I can use this on an entirely different project, what's left. I believe in utilizing my picks as much as I can. Okay, cut off those little elements. Now here's something that I wanted to show you. Let's take that, and you could take something like a skewer or a pick like this a little pokey tool, and you could take that end and wrap that around it like that, and that's going to give you one of those cool little pumpkin-y coils, right? So that is a nice little detail. It's all about those little fun details. That. And we'll leave the rest of those just like that for now. All right, and some of the other elements we'll be using, some Spanish moss. I just got this whole bag at the Dollar Tree. Really good just to have for all of your crafting. So we're going to use a little tuft of that. And then also I have just a little bit of burlap. And I like to just pull off a couple of these little strands, and we're going to use those because you want to get these little wispy bits right in here. Those are just nice little elements to add. Okay, so we're going to leave the burlap on there for now, but just so you know what's coming. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and glue this little sunflower down. And I want to make sure my leaf is here on the left. I'm going to put my sunflower right there. And then I have some of these little leaves. I love that golden color. And we're going to put these down first. It's kind of the first little base there, right there, and right there. All right, so you can see here we've got this element, this element, this element, and this element. So we've kind of got 4 things going on. They're not, lined up completely. That's fine. All right, now we're going to take these larger berries. I'm going to kind of do a little tendril on the end of this one. And we're going to glue our berries around those 4 pieces. And if you notice that you've got a lot of glue strands and things happening, don't worry. When you're done, you can just kind of heat this, give it a shot with your warm hair dryer, and those will just disappear. All right. Now this one is bound to look just a little bit different than my other one, but that's okay. Showing you these elements, kind of how they're working. I'm going to put another one up here a little bit later. All right, I think I want a couple of more these little berries. Now we're going to start with these little berries. That. I like to put the longer ones kind of extending out farther. just little clusters of berries. These tiny little elements are so fun, and it's nice to have them work all the way around. So in any direction, this is not a one-sided pumpkin, but in any direction it's going to look really cute. All right. And I'm just adding glue and tucking. If you don't know what this motion is, that's me wrapping the glue string around that. I just realized the glue string may not be as apparent to you, and you're like, what is she doing? Okay, I'll tuck that under that sunflower. All right, so now we're going to work on those little berries. Those are just adorable. And we're just going to take that spray right there and cut that off. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of cut from the bottom, cut pieces off like that. And these are just little plasticky branches covered in these little foam beads. Sometimes they stick together, it's okay. And kind of want to get in among those branches. All right, there we go. And I kind of cut them kind of chunky, so this should go a little faster. There we go. So I wanted to know, do you guys like making fall crafts that you can keep up pretty much till Christmas? Or do you like making Halloween crafts to add in there? Let me know, because I want to know how much Halloween you guys want to see coming up. I know that when my daughter was young and we were trick-or-treating, I did more Halloween things. We didn't do spooky Halloween, but we did funny Halloween. And yeah, like now we tend to I just tend to leave up the fall things now, and then on the day of Halloween I'll put a jack-o'-lantern out or something like that. All right, so there we go. There we have that. Now I can add in more berries and more leaves as I go, but I think I'm good. I feel like I want to add a leaf right here. Yeah, I do. Let's just go for that. There we go. And I'm going to add another big berry. Maybe another one like this, and one like this. I don't know, these feel like little mini jack-o'-lanterns to me. They're so cute. All right, and we're going to put that one, I think, right in there. And then here we're going to just wrap that again because it has that nice long tendril. Just like that. That one will be really good to add in. We can kind of even bend it a little bit. And we'll just tuck that right in there. Have that come down. Okay, so now we're to the point where we're going to add our moss, and almost done. I have these little bits for movement. So I'm going to take off like a couple of these and just pull those off. And this is cut to about 3 inches wide. And then I'm just going to fold those in half, just like that. And then we're just going to put a little glue on that little fold. And this is where having this little pokey tool is nice, because we can just poke that in there. And you could use a skewer for that as well. Let's see how that looks. Let's do another one of those. Oops, grab too many at once. Just 3 more. Okay, we're going to fold, glue, and then we're going to put that, I think, right here. And we're just going to use that pokey tool so we don't burn our hands. But it stuck to the wrong thing, so we're going to keep poking. There we go. All right, and now we've got moss. And I just like to take little bits of moss, put a little bit there, and then we're just tucking that. And then you can just kind of ball that up. I know I want to get something right here next to that sunflower, right under that. And then I've got one more little tuft to add. And I think we'll do that right here. We'll just tuck that little tuft. All right. Oof. Very cute, right? And look at that. And I think I love the idea of just being able to use things that you might already have. You might have some doilies, you might have some fabric, you might have some fall embellishments, you might have some moss, you might have a twig, you might have a cinnamon stick. And to just add that tea stained takes away that. Some of them, you know, might be ivory doilies, some might be bright white, but you can tea or coffee stain those to any way that, any intensity that you like. And here's my last tip for scenting these. Don't forget about your essential oils, okay? You can pretty much buy these anywhere now. So I've got pumpkin pie and I've got cinnamon bark, whichever is your pleasure. And you could just add a couple little drops. It's not going to hurt them. Right there in amongst those goodies. And oh, that smells great. And then you've already got them scented and you can put them around your home, in your bathroom, or have whatever you want to do. So you guys, thanks you so much for joining. Did I say thanks you? Thanks you. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you want to support my channel, giving me a thumbs up, sharing would really, really help, but especially subscribing. It would really, really help my channel and I would appreciate it so much. Thanks for sticking around with me and I'll see you in the next one.